In the silence of the family hall, the truth finally broke free like a storm tearing through years of unspoken pain. Tu Diem stood trembling, her heart heavy with fear, as eyes full of judgment fell upon her. Toan's mother's voice was sharp, cold, and unwavering, determined to erase Diem from her son's life, no matter the cost. But just as despair threatened to crush her, another voice rose, gentle yet powerful. The grandmother, keeper of the family's deepest secrets, stepped forward. Her eyes, lined with wisdom and time, carried both sorrow and strength. Against her daughter-in-law's bitter refusal, she chose to shield Tu Diem with her truth and her blessing. Now, between the fire of a mother's objection and the light of a grandmother's protection, Toan and Diem's love hangs in fragile balance. Will love survive when divided blood stands on opposite sides? Or will family secrets tear apart what fate had so tenderly bound? The morning sun poured its golden light into the Nguyen household, but warmth did not always mean peace. Toan, the successful yet weary CEO, had woken early to prepare breakfast for his mother and sister. His hands moved quietly in the kitchen, not as a powerful businessman, but as a son longing to ease the worries of the woman who had raised him. When the meal was set, his mother looked at him with both pride and sadness. Pride for the man he had become, sadness for the choice of love she could not accept. Across the city, Tu Diem was tending to flowers and kneading dough with care. Her heart was fragile yet full of hope. She shaped loaves of bread, not just for customers at the market, but with a special thought for Toan's grandmother, the woman who once embraced her like a granddaughter. Tucked carefully into her basket was a simple but heartfelt gift, a new blouse she had saved to buy for the old woman. For Diem, it was more than fabric. It was gratitude, remembrance, and longing. That afternoon, Toan drove to the farm where Diem was waiting. Their eyes met, and though words were few, the silence between them was heavy with unspoken love and the pain of obstacles that threatened to tear them apart. Together, they visited his grandmother. The old woman's eyes lit up the moment she saw Diem at her doorway. "My dear child," she whispered, as tears welled up, "I thought I had lost you." Diem knelt at her side, presenting the bread and blouse with trembling hands. The grandmother clasped them tightly, her voice breaking with joy. "You are thoughtful and kind. How could anyone not love you?" Yet behind that joy loomed a shadow, the stern disapproval of Toan's mother, who believed Diem unworthy of her son. Conflict brewed silently between mother and grandmother, both strong women who loved Toan deeply but chose different paths for his happiness. Toan stood in the middle, torn but resolute. His mother's voice echoed in his mind, "You will suffer if you stay with her." But his grandmother's hands on Diem's shoulders told another truth. Love like this must be protected. And so the secret of the family unfolded, not one of betrayal, but of division. A battle of love across generations had begun. Toan's heart ached as he looked at Diem. He knew he would have to fight, not against strangers, but against his own blood to keep her by his side. Would a mother's objection be strong enough to end their love? Or would a grandmother's blessing give them the strength to endure? The answer, perhaps, lay not in fate, but in the courage Toan and Diem were willing to summon for each other. Toan's car stopped just outside the old family house. the engine humming softly as silence lingered inside. Tu Diem sat quietly beside him, her hands folded on her lap. She dared not look at him, afraid her trembling eyes would betray both fear and longing. Diem. Toan finally spoke, his voice low but steady. No matter what happens, I need you to stay strong. My mother doesn't see what I see. She doesn't know your heart. Tu Diem turned, her lips parting as if to answer, but no words came. Instead, she forced a faint smile, the kind that carried more pain than comfort. Toan, I don't want to be the reason your family breaks apart. He cut her off, his hand tightening around hers. You are not the reason. Love is never a reason for destruction, it's the reason we survive. His words burned with conviction, and for a moment, Tu Diem felt her fear melt into quiet hope. When they entered the house, grandmother was already waiting on the porch. Her frail figure straightened with surprising strength as she saw Tu Diem. Child, she whispered, tears glistening in her wrinkled eyes. I prayed I would see you again. Tu Diem rushed forward, kneeling at the old woman's feet, placing the warm bread into her hands. Grandmother, I brought this for you. It may not be much, but I made it with all my heart. The old woman's fingers trembled as she broke a piece of bread and tasted it. Her face lit up, fragile but radiant, sweet, just like the girl who made it. She reached for the blouse folded neatly in the basket. When she unfolded it, her tears fell freely. You thought of me, while others only think of appearances. Before Tu Diem could respond, a sharp voice pierced the air. Toan's mother stood in the doorway, her expression cold as iron. So, she's here again, she said, her tone laced with disapproval. Bringing gifts, baking bread. Do you think these simple gestures make her worthy of my son? The atmosphere froze. Tu Diem lowered her head, her cheeks burning with shame. Toan stepped forward, placing himself between the two women. Mother, please, Diem has done nothing wrong. She has been kind, loyal, and she is not one of us. His mother snapped. A girl with no status, no background, no future. What will people say when the CEO of New Yen Group marries such a woman? Grandmother slammed her cane against the floor, her voice suddenly fierce despite her frailty. Enough. Happiness does not come from titles or wealth, it comes from the heart. This girl has more honor in her soul than riches in your house. The room fell silent. Tu Diem's eyes widened, shocked at the grandmother's defense. Toan's mother stiffened, clearly wounded by her mother-in-law's words. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Toan took Diem's hand firmly, lifting her to stand beside him. His voice was calm but resolute. Mother, I respect you, but this is my choice. If love is a battle, then I will fight it not against strangers, but even against the walls of my own home. Because without her, I am nothing. Tu Diem's heart pounded. She had never seen Toan so unshakable, so willing to stand against his own blood. And in that instant, she realized this was no longer just her struggle. It was theirs. The silence in the room grew heavier, pressing down on every heart. Toan's mother turned her face away, her pride refusing to yield. You are blind, Toan, she said bitterly. Love will not feed your company, nor protect our family's name. But grandmother leaned forward, her eyes sharp despite her age. And what use is a name when it is empty of love? Do you wish your son to live in wealth yet die in loneliness? The words struck like a thunderclap. Tu Diem felt her chest tighten, both grateful for the defense, yet terrified that she was tearing the family apart. She took a step back, her voice trembling. Please, don't fight because of me. If my presence causes pain, I will leave. No. Toan's voice rang out so firmly that even his mother flinched. He pulled Diem closer, holding her hand with unyielding strength. Diem, I will not let you walk away again. You carried me through the darkest days when no one else could. You gave me back my life. If I lose you now, what worth is all I've built? Tears shimmered into Diem's eyes. She remembered the nights in the wilderness when she nursed him back from the edge of death, the moments they had survived with nothing but hope and each other. Her heart whispered that his words were true, but fear still lingered. His mother folded her arms, her tone cold as ice. If she stays, then prove she deserves it. Love alone is not enough. Toan met her gaze without flinching. Then give her the chance to prove it. Judge her by her actions, not by where she came from. The challenge hung in the air. Grandmother nodded approvingly, her voice soft but steady. Yes, let her show you who she is. Do not condemn her before you see her heart. Tu Diem lowered her head, her voice small but clear. If that is what it takes, I am willing. Toan's mother looked at her long and hard, searching for weakness. Finally, she spoke. Very well, but understand this: if you fail, I will never allow you near my son again. The air crackled with tension, yet beneath it all, hope flickered. For the first time, a door had opened, though narrow and treacherous. It was a chance. As night fell, Toan and Diem stepped out into the cool air together. The stars stretched endlessly above, their light fragile but unbreakable. Toan turned to her, brushing away the tears still clinging to her lashes. Diem, he whispered, we have been tested by storms before. This is just another, and I swear I will stand with you until the end. Her lips trembled, but she nodded, her heart finally daring to believe. Whatever trials awaited, they would face them together. And somewhere inside the house, Grandmother watched from the window, her frail hands clasped in prayer, for she knew the road ahead would be harsh. But she also knew one truth that neither wealth nor pride could erase. Love, when genuine, has the power to defy even family bloodlines. The journey of Toan and Tu Diem is not only about love between two people, but also about the battles that love must endure. Their story teaches us that true love is never smooth. It is tested by family, pride, and the weight of tradition. From Toan's mother, we see the dangers of letting prejudice and social expectations blind the heart. Her fear of losing reputation nearly cost her son the happiness he deserved. From Grandmother, we learn that wisdom often lies in simplicity. She reminded everyone that love and kindness are worth more than wealth or titles. Tu Diem shows us courage and humility. Though she felt unworthy, she never gave up on love, nor did she resent those who judged her. Instead, she stood with dignity, willing to prove her heart through actions. And Toan, as a son and a man, reveals the strength it takes to protect love. His determination shows that real love is not passive, it is active. It fights, it endures, it chooses again and again, even when the world stands against it. The lesson is clear. Love requires courage, respect, and sacrifice. It is not enough to feel it. One must fight for it. Families may resist, obstacles may rise, but when two hearts remain steadfast, love has the power to transform even the hardest of hearts. True love is not about perfection, it is about persistence.